Hi there, everyone. This evening, we are going to run through our P6-Scrubber tool. It's evening for me. I'm Nicole Jardin, joining you here from Calgary in Canada. And same time zone, I've got Sue Familia with us from our Wyoming office. She is an implementation specialist with Emerald, and she's rolled out P6-Scrubber for numerous clients. Okay, so she's going to show you how the tool works. She's going to show in action live. After I do the easy part, I'll just do the lead in as to why we built this tool. So we built this tool a few years ago. We had something sort of already in play, but we really built it and started marketing it in earnest maybe 3-4 years ago, because we had clients that were when you import projects from maybe a contractor or an engineering company, you end up inheriting all sorts of stuff from their P6 environment, which you don't necessarily want. So that's one of the common struggles that we found. Now, that also could apply potentially to Microsoft project files as well. Okay, so we deal with XERs and XMLs from P6 and also Microsoft project files. Okay, that's a little less likely just because Microsoft project doesn't have as many bells and whistles generally, but we work with all three types. Now, so what happens is your P6 system starts to get polluted. It starts to get messy. It starts to get potentially things that you don't want in it because it could clash with some of your reporting. You could even potentially, in worst case, overwrite some of the pieces of data that you want, such as calendars. So it can be problematic. And we've had clients that started to whip up additional databases to do cleaning in and all this other stuff that just seemed like there's got to be a better way. So we decided to build the P6-Scrubber tool. Now, not only does it help keep your database clean, but it also can help you monitor and regulate specific things that you want done with the data when you're bringing it into P6. Okay, certain formats, certain standards that you want your contractors to adhere to. So this lets you make sure that you're doing that and gives you an audit of what you're changing when you're bringing a file in. So these are really the main things that the tool does. It brings a lot of benefit because you can save a heck of a lot of time. I know recently, actually, that's another thing that I've had to do. I'm working with a client that has a lower version of P6 than we have. Okay, so they're on version 21 or 22 actually, and we're on 23. So they can't import that file, and I can't save it to a 22 version. I can only save it to a version 15, I think it is, which is crazy. So that's another reason that you can use Scrubber. So that's just a situation I found myself in the last few months with a particular client. So I used our Scrubber tool to save it down to their version so I can import it in their database. So there's lots of benefits of the tool, and hopefully you're going to see some that could be interesting for your team tonight when Sue shows you the tool. So let me run through how it works. So it's quite simple. You set up, you have a file, you bring it in, or you can pre-set up what you want to do. Okay, so you can do it either way. And you set up a definition. You select what you want done. Now, it does some things automatically. These POBS tables that you might have been bumping into for the last few years that are massive and risk types can be massive. So more and more Oracle's got those cleaned up, but if you're on an older version of P6, those still creep in here and there. You can do things like checking calendars, and you can check, of course, all the extra data that you put into P6, so codes, user-defined fields, cost codes. You can validate all of those different naming formats and ID formats. So we have a lot of great controllers. You can merge data together, things of that nature. So Sue's going to show that to you when she does the live demo of the tool. So the real intent of this Scrubber tool is to let you deal with importing much better, a lot less stressful, a lot less frustration, a lot less cleaning up and time wasted, okay? And if you do a lot of importing, if you're an owner or an engineering firm and you're importing a lot from contractors, for example, this can save you a heck of a lot of time. If you're a contractor and you have to send your P6 files to your client, there may be all sorts of data you don't want to show them, right? So you might have resources that you don't necessarily want to show them because they didn't, maybe it's a lump sum job and you don't have to provide a resource loaded schedule, okay? So instead of copying, pasting, cleaning all this stuff out every time in P6, you can pre-scrub it and send it off to your client, okay? So there's both facets, whether you're receiving or whether you're sending. P6-Scrubber can save you a lot of time and keep your files clean and help you a lot in managing that process. All right, so I think I'll turn it over to Sue and she can run through how the tool works. Did I miss anything, Sue?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. So I sent it over to you.
I just dropped my mouse and I need to get back to where I want it to be.
Okay.
Okay, there I am.
Okay. Well, we didn't hear a big crash. So. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
So let me share my screen so that we can take a look. Okay.
And I've got the family of coyotes yipping in the field next to me. So there you go.
All right.
I'll mute myself.
Okay. So with P6-Scrubber, essentially it is attached to the databases that you would like to that you would like to use to import them in. So what this does is it helps you view the data that is already in your database as compared to what you have coming in a project that you were wanting to import. So we can hook it up to several different ones. Mine is only to demo 2020 right now, but I would simply just open this up. I would say, okay, which database do I want to look at as I'm comparing this project that I want to import into the database that I'm going to. So I would sign in with my regular credentials for that database. Now, the easiest way to do it is to actually import a project itself. It looks like I already have some information in here, which I should not. So I am going to just blank this out and start from a fresh definition, if you will. So with each module that we have that we can handle information with, what I can do is I could start it from scratch. So if I didn't have my file, I didn't want to import the XER that I wanted to handle, I could certainly go just from scratch and start building out a definition. But that's not the easy way to do it, obviously. So what I could do is I could go and I could import the file that I am actually wanting to build a definition for. And what a definition is it's going to handle each one of these modules, and it's going to say, okay, what do I want to do with it? What do I want to look at within that XER or that XML? And how do I want to handle the data in that? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to import an XER. I'm going to go out to where I have a demo file that I use. P6-Scrubber. And I'm just going to choose, in this case, an XER. I could choose an XML if I had one as well, and I could handle that. But in my case, I'm going to use this XER. So I'm going to go ahead and open it, and I'm going to import it. Now what this is going to do is it's going to bring in the information that's in that XER into P6-Scrubber so I can see essentially what is in it right now. So I'm going to apply it. And so now I can go and look. So I've got my codes. I've got a couple codes out here that are going to be coming in. And because I'm hooked up to my Demo 2020 database, I can see whether each one of these pieces of information is part or is in my current database and decide how I want to handle it when I scrub it. So first of all, by default, they are not enabled because you may only want to run a couple of modules for each one of them. Maybe you don't ever get cost accounts in with your XERs. You don't use those. Perhaps you don't even want to enable that. So I want to enable it, and it's telling me that in this XER that I just imported, I have a district project code that matches P6. However, I'm also having some other things that don't match. So as I can see that I have a yellow caution sign, so to speak. So when I hover over that, we had a little loss of my voice there. When I hover over that, it's telling me, well, yeah, there is a match in P6. There is a district project code, but there's something wrong with your dictionary. There's something it's finding in your dictionary. So I can choose this plus sign over here to the left. What that's going to do is it's going to open it up and it's going to tell me, okay, you have this district project code. However, in the dictionary for district in your database, you don't have a value called DIST5. So what I might want to do is, first of all, it's telling me it doesn't match. What I know that I have it in there. So maybe I want to see what the values are. So I can go into my new code type or my new dictionary value, and I could delete that and I can say, oh, okay, I don't have a value called DIST5. I have a value called D5. So I could remap that. So although they have a different value, I could remap it to the value that I actually have. And I now have fixed this. I have handled that value and I am able to remap their District 5 to what I have for District 5. So I'll be able to see now that, that I don't have an error. Now with this client type here, the client type is something that I don't have in P6. And quite frankly, I don't need it in P6. I don't want it to come in. So I can choose also that I would want to scrub that or delete it out of that file. Now, once I tab out of that and all that, I have everything that goes away. So now I am keeping my district. I have arranged to remap my value in my district file. And I also have decided that I don't want client type to come in. So it's going to remove it. And I have a client that is there with a dictionary value that is also perfectly fine. I also have a type of schedule that matches, and I'm fine with that coming in as well. And my value that is coming in is correct. So essentially, with each piece of information, you can choose what you want to do with that information. And I can do that with codes. I can do that with my user-defined fields, etc. So I have a little additional box up here at the top where it says Scrub Extra Code Types. Now, what this means is that any code type that I have not defined in this table down here at the bottom, that means it's going to remove anything that is not defined. So if I have my next XER that comes in and I have an additional project code, I don't want it to allow it to come in. I basically want to scrub it. So by selecting that, that is what it's going to do. It's going to remove any project code that I do not want, or that I have not defined in this table here. Now, similarly with user-defined fields, I can do the same thing. So I have most of them that are coming through, and I have this submitted file name, and I just don't need that. So I could choose to scrub that out as well. And keep moving down, like into my activities. I can go and look at my codes. I've got some more stuff going on with my codes here and at my activity level, right? So I would have my enable. In my mitigations, I can see that my dictionary validation, I have a dictionary value that's not jiving with what I have in P6. So I could choose to open that up, and I can decide, okay, what do we want to do with this? This is not matching. So do I want to go ahead and have that come in? Maybe I do. So for the ones where you have an X where it says it does not match P6 and you want to allow that to come in, what you can do is you can choose that and you can say, okay. So when you acknowledge that you're going to create a new value here, it's going to choose, or it's going to mark that as a star. So that means I want to allow P6-Scrubber to keep that in there. So when I import it, it's going to create a new value in my mitigations dictionary. Now, another thing I can do is I could choose to roll down a value or a global activity code. So let's say in this discipline, I decided that it's at the global level. I want to roll that down. What that's going to do, it's going to make it a project level activity code. It's not going to import it as a global activity code. Now, with that, I'm going to need to deal with my values in my dictionary still. So I have this XYZ discipline. Let's say I want to remap that to something else. Let's say it actually should map to procurement. I can remap it here as well. Now on my vendor here, you can see I've got a warning, but I have, instead of a true X, like a red X here, I have a light bulb. And what that light bulb is telling me that there's something that's close to vendor. So if I go and I click here and I were to look at my vendor, it's telling me that I have a CAPS vendor. It's telling me I have a CEN executing vendor. I have a delete vendor. I have P6C, and I have a P6-Scrub vendor. So I have things that are close. I have a activity code that's close. And so it's telling me that. It's saying, okay, there might be something that might match, but it's not exact. So let's say I want to remap this to my P6-Scrub vendor. I can go ahead and do that. It's already gone in. It's already checked all of my values in my P6-Scrub vendor, and everything's okay. So I do have the ability to be coached, or I do have that coaching that happens as I'm going along. It's going to say, okay, this is in P6 or it's not in P6. Your dictionary is going to match exactly, or maybe you've got some values that are not matching as well. And you can go through, you can handle each one of those. Now, in addition to rolling down a global value, you can also promote it as well. So we had a case with a vendor or a client who was using this, and when they imported a file, the company that they got the file from always had their I think it was work type that was always at the project level. And so they just wanted to roll that up because they knew that was that project level, that project level activity code was actually the same one that they had at the global level. And so they would go in and they wanted to actually promote that so that they could see that with their projects and their global code. So they actually asked us to put in the promotion as well. So not only can you roll down, demote, you can also promote it to a global as well. Oh, one thing I do want to visit with user-defined fields. These ones are all clean. They're going to go in just fine. However, you can choose at the subject area what you want to allow to come in and what you don't. So let's say I don't use any issues or risks. Maybe I do use steps, but maybe I don't use expenses. I can choose that any additional ones that aren't defined here aren't going to come in. They're going to be removed. So let's say on this step one, I actually want to keep that one, but I don't want to keep my expense one. So now any additional expense one, I'm going to, not only am I going to scrub this one that came in, but I'm also going to scrub any others. So you can choose by subject area what you want to allow to come in on additional user-defined fields and which ones you don't. Now, we can also handle resources. So if I click into this remapping area, I can see these are the resources, and I'm going to enable this. These are the resources that are coming in, and you can see I've got several pages worth. So you want to make sure that you look at all the pages that you have available and handle all of those. But I can see that I don't have a match for my barricades here. So I might want to go and search. I can click. I can get out of there and I can start typing, and it will narrow it down. So I do have barricades, but maybe there's something wrong with my name here. Ah, I see what happened here. They have it spelled properly in their database, but I don't. So I can either go and correct it in my database so that it does match, or I can choose that I want it to come in with that. I want to map it to that misspelled one. So very easy to see, okay, what happened there. In fact, myself, I caught where I actually have it misspelled. My vendor or my client has it spelled properly. I do not. Maybe I want to go fix it before I actually bring it in. Or I can remap it, whatever works. Now, I also have the ability for my resources. A lot of times you're bringing in resources and they belong to a particular client, a particular company, maybe a particular project. And you want to bring those into a specific tree that you have already created for these resources. With P6-Scrubber, you can choose where you want to put those. So I, for instance, have a scrubber actually it might just be Scrub, resource that I have here. When I choose this, what happens is that when I import this file, all of these resources in this file are going to import underneath that P6-Scrubber tree. So I have the ability to land it where I would like it to go. So it keeps your resource dictionary cleaner as well. So instead of bringing these all in flat and just add it onto my resource dictionary, I actually have the ability to come in and say, I want it to be here, and that's going to keep my resource tree and my resource dictionary a lot cleaner, a lot more organized. Codes are going to work essentially the same. It's going to tell me whether I have, dictionary issues or whether I have a match, etc. I could choose to maybe scrub these out if I wanted to. I could also take a look at my office location. Looks like we've got a couple here that are not part. So it looks like I've got RS. I just have them, my separator is not the same. So it looks like I needed to change that so everything came in correctly. So I've got the ability to do that with my codes here at my resource level, as well as my user-defined fields. And I can also work with my units of measure. So you may have units of measure that are already defined in your dictionary, and you want to import what they have to match your dictionary, so that you don't have a whole bunch of units of measure that are basically depicting the same thing. So it works the same way. If you want to find what you need, you can start typing, and then you can, okay, that didn't, for whatever reason, I don't have that coming. It's not coming through right. LF. There we go. There we go. I must have typed wrong. So I had a small LF for my linear feet in my dictionary for my units of measure. And for this one, it looks like I have a capital M, and I actually spell out cubic meters. So when I do this, what this is going to do is keep my my units of measure nice and tidy, clean, and I don't have abbreviations for this, different abbreviations for the same unit of measure. Calendars. We can handle calendars. With calendars, we can choose to roll down our global calendars. Nicole mentioned that if you have a calendar that has the same name that you are importing as one that you have at the global level in your database, and they are not actually defined the same, the new calendar that's being imported in will overwrite the definition of the calendar that you have for that same name. So you could potentially really mess up your schedules because you've imported a calendar that maybe has some additional days off or something like that, and now you're using that for the projects that you don't anticipate to have that type of calendar. So you want to be careful with that. In a lot of cases, you may just want to roll all of these down so that you can maintain the calendar, and you can use it in your file, but you are not going to change any of your global calendars. You can just roll those all down to the project level. You can still use them on your activities, etc., but you don't run that risk of overriding one of your calendars at the global level. You can also choose here whether you want to roll down any extra global calendars that come in with the file, with another file. Same principle. If it's not defined in the table, it's going to actually roll it down. Now, We also had a client who wanted to see what project calendars were in their files when they imported them in and were taking a look at them. So we did provide that. This is informational only, but you can see those project calendars as well. We also can handle resource calendars. So if you have a resource calendar that maps to a new one, if you wanted to you have to keep it because it is for a resource. And if you're importing that resource, you need to keep it, but you could remap it. So if you had another calendar that you knew was the same, you could remap it and keep your resource calendars clean as well. Another client request that we got was to handle notebook topics. Now, a lot of us use notebooks for whatever purpose that we want to, and we don't necessarily want to bring in everybody's notebook topics that they have. They may have completely different ones than you have. You may not use notebook topics at all. It just depends. But if you do have notebook topics that come in with that schedule, what you can do is you could decide what you want to keep, what you want to delete, what it's going to show you what the availability is, whether it's an EPS, project, WBS, or activity, etc., so that you can handle those and you can keep your notebook topics a lot more tidy, because you do have the potential of bringing in a bunch of notebook topics that just are not important to you and that you don't want in your database. Now, roles work essentially the same as resources. You can remap them. You can, like if you wanted to, maybe in your database, you have a role for engineering and you want all of them to just be under engineering, and you don't want all these different layers of extraction engineer, electrical, whatever. You could map those to just one role and combine them. You do have the potential to do that as well. With roles, you can also set up a tree. And if you wanted to do your if you wanted to land it under a particular role tree, and I thought I had one in there, but I don't, you could do that as well. So you could go down, choose the one that you want it to land in, and let's say I want to do it into IT roles or something like that. I could land it in that tree, and it's going to keep my roles a little bit more tidy as well. Cost accounts, again, if you use them, it's great. And you could remap. You could choose to keep or scrub them out. Let's say you don't want to use cost accounts here. You could scrub them all out if you wanted to. Now, finally, we have this OBS component here. Now, the OBS component allows you to remap the OBS that is assigned to the project that you're importing, so you don't pollute up your OBS structure. Because when you import that in, it's going to maintain that OBS assignment or responsible manager, and it's going to create it in your OBS structure and assign it there. So if you would like, you can actually go out, you can decide where you want, where you're going to land that and what type of responsible manager you want in there. So again, I believe I do have something with Scrub on it. So I could say, okay, I'm going to import this in. I want it to have a responsible manager of P6-Scrub. When I import it, it's going to go out, it's going to change that OBS assignment to match what you assign it there. Now, finally, what we have is what we call a simple scrub. Now, this is for those of you who just want to do something kind of nitty-gritty, down and dirty, quickly. What this can do is it will allow you to prefix any project code, activity code, resource code, etc. Anything that's listed here, you could prefix so that when it comes in, it's denoted with a prefix. So you would simply put the prefix that you want. Let's say I wanted SCR for scrub, and I wanted to put that on a number of these pieces of data that's coming in. I could choose a common separator with all of those. So SCR and then a dash. And let's say on my global activity code type, I want to just roll everything down. Any global activity code that comes in, I want to roll down. Well, since I'm rolling it down, I don't really need to prefix it because I know where it's coming from. It's going to be, part of this project. Maybe on my resources, I really don't want any additional resource code types. What they have is not important to me. So I just don't want to import them at all. Maybe I don't want my role code type. Maybe I do want my resource assignment code type, and maybe I want to prefix that. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do here. On the global calendars, you could prefix them. You could choose not to import them if they aren't being used, or you could choose to roll all of them down here as well. We can handle user-defined fields, roles, resources, role shifts, and resource curves in this simple scrub. So this is just if you want to do just a fast, quick scrub, treat all the pieces of data in a certain category the same way, prefix it, not import it, or just roll it down if that's the case. You can do that all here. So we made a little area where you don't have to go through each and every one of those pieces. You could kind of do it quickly here and with a blanket kind of rule, if you will. Okay, so we've gone through and we've defined everything, how we want P6-Scrubber to handle this. What we need to do now is we want to save that as a definition. So the way that we save that is we come to our Save and Load Definitions area, this little button on the lower right-hand corner here. When I do that, it's going to give me a Save As option. It's also going to show me all the other definitions that I have available to me out here, ones that have already been created and are available. So we have 3 levels of definitions that we can have. We have our global level, denoted by the little world there. We have the idea of a team. So perhaps you have certain teams that work on certain schedules, maybe a particular contractor, maybe in a certain business unit, etc. You can create teams, assign people to that team, and then when you save a definition, you can choose to save it for a particular team, meaning that only that team, only the members of that team can see that definition. So it kind of locks it down to just those people on that team. I can also choose to save something as a personal definition. So those are ones that I'm only going to be able to see. Now this is a brand new one, so I want to save as. I want to name that. I could put some notes in about that particular definition, and this is where I would choose how I want to save it. What level do I want to save it? Now, if I do choose the team, when I pop open this team area, it's going to give me the option of the team I want to assign it to as well. Now, in my case, I'm just going to make this a personal one. And when I say apply, it's going to go out. It's going to tell me it saved successfully. And now I have up here at the top where it says definition, It's telling me that now it's saved as webinar example. Now I can use this definition to scrub a file, the file that I used as an example as I'm moving forward, or a totally different file. Now, let's say I have a definition that's already there and I want to use it. How do I do that? How do I apply a definition so that I can use it to scrub a file? Same thing. Yeah, I go down to the save and load definitions. I would choose my definition that I would like to use to scrub an XER or an XML, and I would tell it to load it. What that's going to do is it's going to load all the settings that I had saved in that definition, and I'm ready to scrub. Now, before I scrub a file with this, I do want to go back and I want to visit my ID and name on both my activities and my projects. Now, in some cases, you may have specifications that you put out to your contractors on how a project or an activity ID or project name or activity name needs to look when they are providing that schedule to you. They work in the same manner. In this case, we have a specification for our contractors that when they provide us a schedule, the project ID needs to have a certain pattern. So you can define these in different ways. I'm just going to use my project name pattern down here as an example. So I could do a contains, I could do a starts with, ends with, I can do a simple pattern, which is what I've done up here in my project ID. I could do an advanced expression, or I could choose none at all. So when I do that, in this case, you can see I've done a simple pattern. When I click in my field here, it's saying, okay, what do you want me to look for? So I have some options. My options are any letter, A to Z. I can choose how many letters. So on my first pattern here, it says any 2 letters from A to Z. So it's looking for 2 letters first. Then I can have an option of saying, okay, numbers. Are you expecting numbers next? In mine, I now after my 2 letters, I expect to see 5 digits. Next, I am looking for a specific text, which is a dash. So my pattern should be 2 letters, 5 digits, then a dash, and then it can be followed by anything else after that. Okay, an unlimited number of characters. And I define these with all of these options here. Now, in addition, once I have my pattern defined, I can go and I can check it. I can go, okay, this is what I'm expecting to see, and does this match what I've defined? So it's telling me, yep, this will pass the test here, and everything's good. If it is not, let's say I only have this much, that one obviously is not matching, so it's turning it red. So I have a way to test that my pattern is working the way that I want it to be. All right, so I'm ready to, I've applied this definition. This is something that I had saved. I now want to scrub a file. So I've applied the definition, my demo definition. I'm going to go into my scrubbed file, or into scrub files, and I'm going to browse out to the file that I would like to scrub. So I would choose it, and then I'm going to process that file. Once it's done, I have the ability to view a report before I do anything with this. So it's always probably a good idea to do this to make sure that when I open up this report is going to tell me exactly what P6-Scrubber did to my file when it scrubbed it. So one thing I didn't show you is that I did have an override of the version here. Let me go back to Scrubber and take a look at where that is. I missed that part and I apologize. So I have this general area here. This is where I can choose what version I want to save this file in. So I have everything from clear
That's
back.
an oldie.
That is a 6.2 up to a 23.12 here. But in my case, whoever I'm sending this to is going, it needs to have 8.3. They haven't upgraded in a really long time. So
Yeah.
that's what I have chosen here. And so when I go and I look at my my overall summary, my report, it's telling me that that version was overridden and it was put to 8.3. Whatever version it is now 8.3. Now it's also telling me the definition I used and the name of the file, the source file, and it also is giving me a date and time. Now, I also have this summary table up here, which is going module by module and telling me what happened during this scrub. So I can see, let's take my project code, my project code type and my dictionary validation. So did I have some changes here? And it says, you know, yeah, you did. So it was considered not clean because it had changes. Now it had removed 2, it changed 2. On my user-defined fields, I had kept 5 and it removed 5, and so on and so forth. So I get a high level of what changed here. As I scroll down, I'm going to see specifics of what happened during that scrub. So I have, as an example, we'll look at the project codes and the dictionary for those project codes. The gray tables are what was defined in my definition. When I scroll down and start getting some colors, that is telling me what happened during the scrub. So I had my client project code type, and it was scrubbed out. It was removed. I have my client type, that was also removed. Now in my district, it was not removed, it wasn't remapped, but I did have a change in my dictionary. And I can see that down here where I have my district dictionary. I can see that I had my original code value was district 5 or DIST 5, and now it is D5. And the description remained the same, but there was some remapping that was done here. Now in my type of schedule, I actually remapped this to schedule status in this definition. And then for my schedule status dictionary, it's actually saying, okay, we had to add this because schedule status didn't have that here. So it's going to give you, for each module, what happened. Submitted file name was removed. WBS cost performance, that was removed. I did have submittal date that was remapped to submitted date, and it's telling me that. So a good idea to go through this after you scrub your file to make sure that what you anticipate the changes to happen, those that you anticipated to happen the way that you wanted them to. Now, once you have everything done, I'm going to go back to my task list here, and my report looks good. I can then download my results. Now, I had a little trouble with my downloads today, and I'm not sure why it did that again. But what I can do is I can go and I can actually go up and find it here. and I can see that I have two files that were produced. I have my clean file, and I have my report that I have here. So in this report is the same thing that I just showed you. So when I opened up that view report, this is my report as well. And then I do have my my clean file. I would extract that, and then I would import it in with the changes. Now, when I do import that in, what I'm going to have potentially is I'm going to have some indicators showing me that I can display in a layout. So I might want to have a layout for my scrubbed files so that I can see what has changed, what has not changed, what was clean, if you will. Those are the green indicators. The red are things that had things that changed. So I had code types that changed. I had my code type dictionary, or my code dictionaries that had some changes, user defined fields, etc. So it's going to give me an accounting of what happened during that scrub. Now, in addition to that, I also am going to get a scrubber report. So I see P6-Scrubber changes. And what that's going to do, it's the same report that we looked at earlier. It's going to be showing me that summary, and then it's going to go down and show me specifically what happened. So I've got some information. Uh-oh, didn't like that. For whatever reason, I lost my notebook. It looks like I had an error going on here.
Yeah, something wrong with the demo, maybe.
Yep. Okay. So I don't know if it's going to allow me to do this. I'm going to try. If I go to my activities, no, it's not going to. I'm going to have to log back in. I apologize. But in the activities area, you can show those same indicators, and it's going to show you by project where those are. I'm going to actually try just a completely different database, I think. Nope, not that one.
And then if for whatever reason you don't want those indicators, you can ask P6-Scrubber not to create them.
Correct. So that's also in that.
Options.
Yeah, that's also in that general area. If I don't want the notebook, by default they're on, but if I don't want that notebook produced, or I don't want those indicators produced, I can simply turn those off. So I have that ability to do that as well.
Okay, so while Sue is relaunching, I don't see any questions right now, so hopefully that means what she's explaining is clear. If you have any, go ahead and throw them in the question area, and I'll try and tackle them as she gets this going again.
Yeah, I've got something buggering me up.
Might be the upgrade today.
It might be. Oh, see, yep.
Yeah, we had one client in the Oracle Cloud get upgraded today, so there might be some sort of conflict.
This is what happened earlier today.
That's purely a guess, but okay. So far still no questions. So
okay, I think I might only have. I'm going to try a different database.
Okay.
And I may only have one in this database, but at least I can show it.
Okay. Yeah, so she's just trying to show you the scrubbed file, how it comes in, and how we have the indicators of anything that was changed. So that
I wanted to show you at the activity level, so that I was able to.
So you've got that traceability if you need it right in P6. So some of our clients, the person who does the scrub is not necessarily the person who's going to use the file. So that's the other reason we've got that. So again, just depending on how your team works it, you may be familiar, but you may not be.
Okay. That looks a little better. All right. So by activity, you can also see what happens. So my vendor code came in fine. I didn't have anything changed on it. I did have some discipline things that did come through. I had my C that came through, but it's also warning me that I had some that did not. So I've got some blanks here, and it's alerting me of that. Same going with my work type. A couple that came in blank, telling me that I might want to look at those, and the rest green, giving me my change order user defined field that came through, a work order, whether or not it is there, and I don't think, we took everything out of the cost count. So by activity, you can also see, what happened with each activity, so that as Nicole said, you have that accounting. Another good thing is with the notebooks. This is also another good way to keep an accounting of that, and what happened during your scrubs, so that you have that right in P6 for you. And if you ever need to refer back to it, you've got it. So, we're almost out of time. I apologize. I guess we can take it back to you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll wrap it up. Thanks, Sue. Thanks for showing in detail. All right, let me go ahead and just do the wrap up. So Sue took you through a deep dive on how the tool works. It's very simple. It's a very simple tool on how you use it, how you can share it amongst the team. So the benefits can be considerable, depending on, of course, how much importing, how much exporting you do. So our clients that use this, quite a few of them have a lot of importing. So they have updates regularly. So every week, every 2 weeks, from numerous contractors. So the time savings is tremendous in those situations. Very easy to configure. Okay, so Sue showed you exactly how it works and how difficult it is to use. So she showed it to you. There's nothing really more that hidden behind the scenes. So it's very simple to use and very easy to get feedback, and get feedback very quickly. Okay, so if you're receiving schedules or if you're sending them out, very easy to make sure you've got a clean system, keep a clean system, you have accurate information. Okay, so we have some clients who merge resources so that they can get better, accurate reporting on the back end. So these are all reasons for exploring this tool, depending again on your situation. So hopefully you saw something of interest, and we do want to thank you for spending the last hour with us. This is one of many tools that we have. So take a peek at our website. We've got a lot of other tools that you could also explore, depending on, again, how you use P6. So we've got loading tools, we've got updating tools, we've got reporting tools. So if you want to push your data out to Power BI, take a look at those different options. We've got many different tools that we've built over the last 30 years. So I still don't see any questions, so I'll just jump to the contact info. So if you saw something of interest that you'd want to explore a little bit more, you've got Sue's info there. And if you're in Asia, then we've got Donna, who's also on the line, and she's in the Philippines, so you can reach out to her as well. And Donna shared our webinars, so we've got a few on the schedule, and just reach out to join into those, or reach out to us if you want to explore something specific within your organization.